The freedom fighter is trying to fight his way back into Manchester United. Also, it seems Jadon Sancho could be back at Manchester United. How? I'm going to explain. But question is, should we let that happen in any way? Subscribe to the United of Sport, like this video, share, and join the party. Ladies and gentlemen, the international break is going on well. Of course, quite sad for the Dens. They had a good flattering performance against Portugal in the first leg of the quarterfinal of the Nations League, only for them to be shown what Portugal is made of, as Cristiano Ronaldo got one against Rasmus Højlund. It was a cheeky, probably, rivalry between the two, of course, the role model and his protege, if you would call it that. But Denmark cruise out, I should say, of the Nations League, of course, as Portugal do advance. Cristiano Ronaldo, again, making records, becoming now the player with the most wins in the history of football, gets his Guinness World Record before the start of the game, actually. So he's just in his own lane, I should say. But let's get proper into the Jadon Sancho talk, because according to what we get, so it's beginning to now come out clearly that indeed the people who are in charge of negotiations and cutting deals for Man United before were so incompetent. John Mata and Richard Arnold were so incompetent. Imagine the deal they negotiated with Chelsea for the swap of, for the loan of Jadon Sancho. Very, very bogus deal. This was a loan with an obligation to buy him for up to £25 million. But in there was a clause where Chelsea could opt out of that obligation by paying a fee that is said to be £5 million. Now, this for me is insane, because I think clearly Man United long time ago had it clear. They had it. They knew it, that they do not want Jadon Sancho to be at the club. That any club that would want to take him out should be willing to take him on a permanent. And that's why, in fact, they also knew that this is what people expected out of them. And that's why when the loan move initially was communicated or was made known to the public, the part of a clause where Chelsea can send him back for a fee was not really publicized. We all thought that it was just a loan with an obligation to buy for as long as Chelsea was among the top 10 teams in the Premier League. Now, it turns out Chelsea clearly are going to finish top 10. Sancho, we are thinking, should be leaving. United will be getting 25 million quid for a player they signed for 70, certainly a huge loss, but one we are all willing to take. But it turns out now that actually there is a clause in the deal where Man United could take him back, actually be forced or obliged to take him back if Chelsea trigger that option and pay 5 million and send back the garbage to Man United. Remember, this boy has a long contract that runs out in 2028, it should be. So for me, this shows you how poorly this club was run. And we can complain to the coach, the head coach, to Ineos, that there are things that they have done wrong, perhaps even now, but clearly the mess was done way before Ineos knew they would ever take over Man United, way before Ruben Amorim thought, even dreamt, that he could be manager of Man United, because this is a mess now that Ineos and Amorim have got to deal with. We all know that we don't need Jadon Sancho. Amorim definitely knows he doesn't want him to step at Old Trafford. Fabrizio told you, they made it clear, Man United don't want Sancho back. We've seen how he behaves. We know certainly this is not a player we want around our team. I knew it even before we had a decision on Mason Greenwood. But for the people going into this negotiation for a loan in Jan, to not see it and have a window that could see him return to Man United is mind-boggling. I just don't get it. I just don't get just how incompetent these guys were. I mean, I think there's also levels to this incompetence thing. I mean, there's levels to incompetence. I think the people who were handling Man United were too incompetent that I would want an audit into them and how they got their jobs. How did they end up running the biggest football club in the world? What qualifications they had? What experience they had? Because for me, every day, everything that is unveiled or that is unearthed about the rot at Man United is so unbelievable. You can't understand, you can't get to fathom how on earth they could have done this. How is it that Man United could be having Jadon Sancho back for 5 million? And we're not sure whether the 5 million is the 5 million Chelsea paid when they are getting the loan, or an extra 5. They add on more 5. But listen, it's insane. So we're having an Ineos who are trying to put things right. They have got to make very drastic decisions, unpopular decisions that they know are going to make them unpopular among many a fan. But the reasons why they have to be forced to increase ticket prices, to cut down on expenditures at Carrington and Old Trafford, to force people to come back and work on their desks, to remove free lunch and meals for staff. I mean, if you dig deep into the reasons why they have to do it, you understand actually that, I mean, the mess was too insane. Imagine we still have to pay for Jadon Sancho. We are still having to pay for him. Borussia Dortmund is still getting a paycheck. Even next summer, we are going to pay for him. But look the situation we are in with him. So for me, this level of incompetence is unacceptable. And even when these guys have been fired and moved on, I feel like it can't be enough. I mean, they have got to be punished in a way. I mean, there's got to be a bit of a sanctioning of sorts for wasting, people's money. And I know this is not government money; it's a private thing where, of course, the funds were paying. But even this is funds money. You don't just waste it just like that. This level of incompetence should not go unpunished. For me, these people just sunk this club so deep that even Ineos, honestly, are just struggling to figure out what to do. But they clearly also don't know what exactly they're supposed to do, because the mess is just too bad, guys. It's just too bad. So Sancho returns at Man United and does what? How is Ruben Amorim going to deal with him? Because he will be a contracted player, obliged to play. I mean, he's under contract at Man United. Comes, trains with the first team. Are you going to banish him from the first team for the remainder of his contract? Is Sancho the kind of player you're thinking will say, okay, you know what, let me terminate the contract without terms? He doesn't seem to have any ambition with his career. Certainly, he will be okay earning money to do nothing with the club. Is the club going to be forced to just play him, to use him, because they are hoping someone will come and want to buy him? But Sancho has made it impossible for any serious club to want to buy him. His attitude is not elite. Even in Saudi, I'm sure clubs won't be willing to take him. A player like Sancho, in a Saudi club where discipline is top of everything, he can't play in Saudi. So Man United is going to end up being stuck with this guy earning lots of money but doing absolutely nothing, perhaps even affecting the mood in camp. Because of his bad attitude, he will affect his teammates. You're building a team of young players. You have a character like Sancho around them. Certainly, you don't know what is feeding them. So, for me, it's unacceptable, but Sancho seems to be okay. He's earning his money at the end of the week anyway. So he wouldn't care, would he? He wouldn't care. So this is the mess Manchester United is in at a critical time when we are beginning to try to improve. We are beginning to try to work around everything to try and improve the club. We have such a situation where Sancho could be forced back into the team. It's unbelievable, guys. But that's Man United for you. How in the world do we get out of this? That's why we keep saying, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe said it, to put things right, for Man United to have a squad for which they can fully account, Ineos can fully account, it will take time, because there is a lot of cleaning to do. There is a lot of house cleaning that has got to be done. Yet, people are expecting things to change overnight. If you have to still have to pay a player like him, if you still have to pay for him, for players like Anthony, we're still having to pay for these players and pay a significant part of their wages. How on earth are we going to expect Ineos to get things done? It's difficult. That's where we are. Guys, let me know what you think. I know there are some of you who still feel Sancho can play for Man United. I don't think so. However good a player, and by the way, it's not about his abilities to play. He's a young player, and I do believe really there is something in terms of skill that Amorim can work with. But I mean, attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. However good you are, if you don't have the right attitude, you're as good as bad. So Sancho's attitude is not for a Man United that is going to be competing. He doesn't have an elite attitude. And for me, that kills the talent. So for me, there is no way back for Jadon Sancho. And Richard Arnold and John Mata and whoever negotiated those deals should have known. But unfortunately, it's Amorim and Ineos's mess to deal with. Let's see what will be done.